funny thing about life. People only start looking up when everything around them is falling down. Oh sure, when things are going great, when the money's flowing, when the friends are laughing, when the world seems to be playing along. Who needs anything higher than that, right? Control. Now, there's a funny little illusion. People walk around gripping their lives like they're holding the strings to some grand puppet show. They think if they pull just right, if they calculate every move, they can make things dance the way they want. They plan, they predict, they obsess, and for a while, oh, it works. The strings pull, the dance goes on, and they feel like they're the master of it all. But life has a way of reminding people that they don't hold the strings. They never did. Because one day something happens, something unexpected, something that wasn't in their neat little script. Maybe it's a loss, maybe it's a betrayal, maybe it's just a little crack in their perfect little world, and suddenly they realize those strings they've been holding, they're fraying, snapping. And no matter how tightly they grip, no matter how much they fight, the more they struggle, the worse it gets. That's when the panic sets in. That's when they start scrambling. How do I fix this? How do I get control back? But the more they try, the deeper the spiral goes. Like quicksand, the harder you fight, the faster you sink. See, people don't like the idea of surrender. Oh no, they hate it. It makes them feel weak, like they've lost. Because they've been told all their lives that control means power, that the ones who have control are the ones who win. But what if I told you that control is just a fancy little lie? What if the real power comes when you let go? Not out of fear, not out of hopelessness, but out of the realization that maybe, just maybe, your hands were never supposed to hold the strings in the first place. Now imagine this. You're drowning. The waves are pulling you under, and every instinct in your body tells you to fight, to thrash, to kick, to do something. But do you know what happens when you fight the water? You sink faster. That's how a lot of people live their lives, fighting battles that were never meant to be fought alone, struggling against things they were never meant to control. But if for just 1 second they stop fighting, if they just trust that they will float, they realize they won't drown at all. But here's the tricky part. Letting go. That takes trust. And trust, well, trust isn't easy. Because trust means admitting you don't have all the answers. It means stepping off the stage and realizing there's something bigger running the show. It means putting down the pieces of a puzzle you'll never fully solve. And that terrifies people. Because if they're not in control, who is? That's the funny thing about calling on something bigger. People wait until they're at the edge, until they've lost everything, until the walls have closed in, until their own plans have blown up in their faces. Only then do they look up and say, maybe I should have asked for help sooner. But by then the damage is done. The wreckage is there, and all that scrambling, all that fighting, it never really did a thing. But the ones who learn to let go before the fall, the ones who stop gripping so tight, who stop trying to force everything to go their way, they start to see something funny happen. The weight lifts. The fear fades. They realize that trusting doesn't mean losing. It doesn't mean weakness. It means stepping out of the storm and finally understanding they were never meant to control it in the first place, People walk around with this fear stitched into their bones like a parasite gnawing at their insides. It whispers in their ears, making them second guess every little move. Should I do this? Should I say that? What if it goes wrong? What if I fail? What if, what if, what if? Ah, it's funny, isn't it? How people let the unknown hold them hostage. How they build cages out of questions and then wonder why they feel so trapped. Now fear is a clever little trickster. It pretends to protect you. It tells you it's keeping you safe, keeping you from making a mistake. But the truth is, fear is just a liar in a nice suit, whispering poison in your ear. It doesn't save you. It controls you. It chains you to the same old patterns, the same old routines, making sure you never take a step outside your comfort zone. Because outside that little bubble, that's where the unknown lives. And people hate the unknown. They'd rather be miserable in the familiar than free in uncertainty. But here's where it gets really interesting. The moment you stop letting fear have a seat at the table, the whole game changes. When you start putting your trust in something bigger than fear, that voice in your head starts to lose its grip. It starts shrinking. Because suddenly, you're not looking at life like some fragile little thing that could break at any moment. Suddenly you realize that fear only thrives when you feed it. The more you listen, the stronger it gets. The more you ignore it, the weaker it becomes. And before you know it, fear isn't driving anymore. It's just another passenger sitting in the back, quiet and powerless. See, people don't understand that fear is just a shadow, and shadows only exist where there's light. The only reason fear even shows up is because something good is standing behind it. And yet people run from their own shadows, never stopping to ask, what's on the other side? What's the light creating this fear? What's the thing I'm supposed to move toward, the thing fear is trying so hard to keep me from reaching? But no, they don't ask that. Instead, they let fear call the shots. They let it keep them small. They stay in the same job they hate, the same toxic relationships, the same dull routines, because the devil you know is always easier than the unknown you don't. And you know what the saddest part is? Most people go their whole lives like this. They never take the leap, never take the risk, and they call it being responsible. They call it being practical, but deep down, deep down, they know. They know they've let fear win. But the ones who don't, the ones who break the cycle, they don't do it by force. They don't do it by fighting fear, by wrestling with it like it's some monster they need to defeat. No, they do it by shifting their focus, by realizing that if they stop staring at the shadow, they can finally see the light behind it. And once they see it, fear loses its power. Because suddenly, it's not about what could go wrong. It's about what's waiting for them on the other side. And that's where life really begins. People, they love to think they're in control. They strut around, making plans, setting deadlines, drawing little maps in their heads of how life is supposed to go. And when something doesn't fit into their perfect little blueprint, do they panic? Do they rage? Do they suffer? Because deep down, they believe the world should bend to their will, that things should happen on their timeline, that life should unfold exactly how they imagine. But what a joke. What a joke. Because life doesn't play by anybody's rules. It doesn't take orders. It doesn't follow your schedule. It doesn't care about your plans. No, no, no. Life does what it wants, when it wants, and how it wants. And here's the real kicker. The more you try to force it, the more you try to control it, the more it slips right through your fingers. Like sand, like water, like a cruel little trick designed just to drive you mad. See, people don't realize that timing is a game that's way out of their league. They think they can rush things, push things forward, demand their moment come now. But the universe, it doesn't care about your impatience. It doesn't care that you want something so bad you can taste it. If it's not your time, it's not your time. And the more you fight it, the more frustrated you get, the more you twist yourself into knots trying to make things happen on your terms, the worse it gets. Because life, it has a funny way of humbling people who refuse to wait. But let's talk about waiting. People think waiting is punishment. They think if they're stuck in the same place for too long, if they're not seeing the results they want, if the doors aren't opening fast enough, then something must be wrong. They start doubting, they start questioning, they start thinking maybe they're not good enough, maybe they're not worthy, maybe they should just give up. But what they don't see, what they refuse to see, is that waiting isn't wasted time. No, no, no. Waiting is preparation. Waiting is the space between who you are and who you need to be to handle what's coming. Because let's be honest, most people aren't ready for what they're asking for. They think they are. Oh, they'll swear up and down that they're ready for the big moment, the big opportunity, the big breakthrough. But the truth, if they got it right now, they'd ruin it. They'd fumble it. They'd lose it. And so life makes them wait. And while they wait, it works on them. It teaches them lessons. It sharpens them. It breaks them, rebuilds them, molds them into something stronger, something smarter, something better. But most people, they don't get it. They don't see the gift in the delay. They don't see how the waiting is actually working for them, not against them. All they see is time passing, ticking away like some cruel joke, making them feel like they're running out of chances, like they're being left behind. But life doesn't operate on their clock. It operates on its own. And when the time is right, not when they want it, not when they demand it, but when it's truly right, then and only then does everything fall into place. But by then, they'll be ready. They'll be stronger. They'll understand why they had to wait, why things couldn't happen earlier, why life had to break them a little before it could bless them. But the ones who don't understand that, the ones who get impatient, who fight the process, who try to take shortcuts, rush ahead, skip the waiting, oh, they pay the price. Because the ones who force their way through the door before they're ready, they never last. They lose it just as fast as they get it. And then, then they finally understand. But by then, it's already too late. People love control. Oh, they need it. They crave it like a drug, like a security blanket that makes them feel safe in this big, messy, unpredictable world. They build their little routines, follow their little schedules, map out their lives like a game of chess, where they think they've got every move figured out. But what happens when things don't go their way? When the board flips over and all their carefully placed pieces go flying, oh, then the panic sets in, the fear, the frustration, because nothing scares people more than realizing they're not in control. See, they think if they just work hard enough, plan smart enough, stay disciplined enough, then everything will fall into place exactly how they want. And when it doesn't, oh, they lose it. They start screaming at the sky, punching walls, pacing back and forth like caged animals. They throw tantrums, start blaming everyone, society, luck, their past, their parents, even God, as if life was ever supposed to bow to their little expectations. But here's the funny part. The moment they stop fighting, the moment they let go, the moment they accept that control is nothing but an illusion, that's when things start to change. That's when the doors start opening, the answers start coming, the pieces start falling into place. Because life doesn't reward the ones who force their way through. It rewards the ones who trust. But trust? Haha. That's a tough pill to swallow, isn't it? Trust means waiting when you want to run. Trust means believing when everything around you looks like a joke. Trust means standing still in the middle of a storm while the whole world screams at you to panic. And people, oh, they hate that. They'd rather scramble, hustle, force their way into situations that aren't meant for them, relationships that aren't meant for them, paths that were never meant for them. They'll kick down locked doors without ever stopping to ask, was that door locked for a reason? See, people don't realize that sometimes the worst thing that can happen is getting what you think you want. Because what if it's not right? What if it's not time? What if it's a trap? Oh, but they don't care about that. No, they just want it now. They'll take the job that drains them. They'll chase the relationship that wrecks them. They'll grab onto anything that gives them the illusion of progress, even if it's dragging them straight into a disaster. And then, when it all falls apart, when they're standing in the wreckage of their own impatience, they look up and ask why. But here's the thing, life has a way of protecting people from themselves. If they just pay attention. The missed opportunities, the closed doors, the sudden endings, oh, those aren't punishments. Those are warnings. Those are shields. Those are life's little way of whispering, not yet, not this way, not like this. But people don't hear whispers. No, they only respond to shouts, to chaos, to destruction. And by the time they finally understand, it's usually because they've already been broken by the very thing they chased. But the ones who learn to listen, oh, they move different. They don't rush. They don't force. They don't cling to things that don't belong to them. They don't fight for places that reject them, for people who don't value them, for paths that feel like an uphill battle every single step of the way. They know the difference between a challenge and a warning, between patience and stagnation, between trusting and just being afraid to move, and because of that, they win in a way that nobody ever sees coming. Because life isn't about controlling everything, it's about knowing when to let go, when to step back, when to trust that what's meant for you won't require you to beg, to fight, to suffer, that sometimes the best thing you can do is nothing at all. Just step aside, let the pieces shift, and wait for what was always meant to be yours. And the ones who figure that out, oh, they don't just live, they thrive. People love to think they know what's best for them. Oh, they walk around with their little plans, their little dreams, convinced that they've got it all figured out. They set their sights on something, a job, a relationship, a goal, and they tell themselves, this is it. This is what I need. This is what will make me happy. And when they don't get it, oh, then the fun begins, the frustration, the desperation, the endless questioning of why things didn't work out the way they wanted. But you see, the problem isn't that they didn't get what they wanted. The problem is maybe they were never supposed to have it in the first place. Now, that's a thought most people don't like, isn't it? Because that would mean admitting they don't actually know what's best for them. That maybe, just maybe, the very thing they're chasing is the thing that's going to destroy them. But people don't like that kind of thinking. No. They want what they want, and they want it now, even if it means forcing something that was never meant for them. Oh, and they will force it. They'll fight for relationships that are tearing them apart. They'll chase after jobs that are draining them. They'll push and push and push until they finally get the thing they were begging for, and then they'll sit there, miserable, wondering why it doesn't feel as good as they thought it would. But that's the joke, isn't it? The things people want and the things people need are rarely the same thing. See, there's a little trick life likes to play on people. It lets them think they're in control, lets them think they're calling the shots. And then, just when they're about to grab hold of something they shouldn't have, life yanks it away. Oh, and people hate that. They call it unfair, call it cruel, call it a punishment. But what they don't realize is that it's protection. That missed opportunity, that rejected application, that sudden breakup, those weren't random, those weren't mistakes, those were warnings. Because sometimes the only way to save a person is to deny them what they want. But most people don't see it that way. No, they fight it. They try to break down doors that were locked for a reason. And when they can't, they get bitter. They start questioning everything. Why did this happen? Why didn't I get what I wanted? What did I do wrong? But the real question is, what if you didn't do anything wrong? What if you were just being redirected? What if life wasn't trying to hurt you, but trying to save you from yourself? Ah, but humans are stubborn creatures. They don't like to be told no. They don't like to be told wait. They want things now, and they want them their way. And when they don't get them, oh, they think it's a sign that life is against them, that they're unlucky, that they're being punished. But what they don't realize is that sometimes the greatest mercy is an answered prayer. Because what happens when someone finally stops fighting, when they stop chasing, when they stop trying to force things that were never meant for them? That's when the right things start happening. The right doors open, the right people show up, the right opportunities fall into place, not because they fought for them, but because they were meant for them. And what's meant for you? Oh, that never has to be forced. But most people, they never figure that out. They spend their whole lives chasing, running after things they think will make them happy. And when it doesn't work out, they sit there, lost, confused, wondering what they did wrong. But the ones who learn to trust, the ones who learn to let go, oh, they see things differently. They don't chase, they wait, they don't force, they trust. And because of that, they don't just get what they want, they get what they need. Oh, people love control, don't they? They like to think they've got the wheel, the map, and the whole damn road figured out. They wake up every day, lace up their little shoes, and march right out into the world, thinking they know exactly what's going to happen, who they'll meet, what they'll do, how things will unfold. And then, then life comes along and flips the table. Suddenly what was certain is now chaos. The plan, oh, it's gone. The future, a big blurry question mark. And that's when people panic. That's when they scramble, when they beg, when they plead for things to go back to how they were. Because that's the thing about people. They don't like uncertainty. They don't like not knowing. Makes them twitch, makes them uneasy, makes them desperate to grab onto something, anything, to feel like they're still in control. So they start making deals, promises. Oh, they pray. They pray harder than they've ever prayed before, but not because they're suddenly enlightened. No, because they're afraid, because they can't stand the idea of not knowing what's coming next. And fear, oh, fear makes people so predictable. It makes them grasp at straws. It makes them take shortcuts. It makes them settle for things that were never meant for them. All because they're so afraid of the unknown that they'd rather cling to something wrong than risk waiting for something right. It's funny, really. People will scream about how they want better, deserve better, but when life starts shifting things around, when things start getting uncomfortable, they panic. They hold on tighter to the very things that are dragging them down. The relationship that's killing them, the job that's suffocating them, the life that's keeping them small, and all because they're afraid of what happens if they let go. Because letting go means trusting, and trust, oh, that's a tough one for most people, isn't it? People like proof, they like guarantees, they like insurance policies before they take a risk. But the biggest things in life, the real changes, oh, they don't come with safety nets. They don't come with flashing signs that say, hey, don't worry, this will work out exactly how you want. No, no, no. They come with confusion, with discomfort, with the feeling that everything is falling apart. And that's when people start to break. They cry out, why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? They don't stop to think. Maybe, just maybe, things aren't falling apart. Maybe they're falling into place. But no, people don't like that idea, because it means admitting they don't have control, that they never did. And for a lot of people, that's a terrifying thought. Oh, but the best part is what happens when someone finally stops fighting, when they stop kicking and screaming and trying to hold everything together with shaking hands. When they finally let go, that's when things start moving. That's when doors open that they never even knew existed. Because the truth is, all that struggling, all that desperation, it was never necessary. It was just wasted energy. Because the right things, the real things, oh, they don't come from force. They don't come from panic. They don't come from trying to manipulate every little detail to fit a plan. They come from surrender, from trust, from stepping back and saying, all right, fine, show me what I need to see. And that's when things start making sense. That's when people finally see that what they were holding onto so tight was never what they actually needed. It was just what they thought they needed. But most people, oh, they don't ever get there. They fight until their knuckles bleed. They hold on until there's nothing left of them. And even when they get exactly what they wanted, they look around and realize it doesn't feel the way they thought it would. Because getting what you want and getting what you need, oh, those are two very different things. And the people who understand that, the people who finally stop forcing everything and start trusting, they don't just get what they want, they get something better.